What is going on, everybody? Another wonderful Monday night at Chewin the BBQ Fat. Hope you all had a great weekend, a lot of barbecue, and a wonderful Easter. Jesus is the reason for the season. We love it. Thank you for our Savior. That's awesome. I hope everybody had a great Easter. Adam, I know you were cooking like crazy over Easter, weren't you?
Yeah, I cooked a good bit of stuff. I cooked a turkey, a ham, and a spiraled ham.
Spiral ham. You cooked a spiral ham or you made a spiral ham? How that tell it to me?
Double smoked it, I guess you could call it.
Okay, there you go. Anything else going on? How's your barbecue world going, baby?
Up and down. It's got highs and lows.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. You know what we need to do? We got to figure out how we can get better cooks, right? I think the way we can figure out how to get better cooks is to talk to judges. That is the key to this, and that's what we've listened, haven't we, Adam? Everybody said that show that we had with the judges was the best show we've done in a long time. Well, guess what we have done? Continuation of our judges show. Just lost Eric. He'll be right back, I'm sure. But you know what? That's awesome. We're gonna bring on Brian and Joe, and we're gonna go ahead and get rolling here because we've got a lot to talk about. Brad with another big win this weekend. I tell you what. Sorry, my phone just went off. Brad with another big win this weekend. He is doing great.
Isn't it 9 grands?
9 grands. I mean, and 9 like max grands, I think. Holy smokes, it's going to be awesome. I want to see some of that cookie you cooked. Yeah, Adam, do you have any pictures?
No, he wanted some of it to eat, I think.
Oh, well, there you go. What's up, Richard? Blue Smoke, how you doing? All right, let's get rolling. I don't know what happened to Eric. But other than that, we'll just see what can happen. All right, let's go. Let's go ahead and bring on Joe and Brian. Joe, how you doing?
Good evening, guys. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Brian, what's going on?
Hey, guys. How are you? Good to see you.
Oh, man. Great to have you all back on. I know look, we got Charles Beard on. That guy is a dancing machine. He is a social media dancing machine. I tell you what, if y'all follow that guy, you can see some dancing going on right there. Too funny. I know Eric will be coming back. There he is. He's coming back on. And the reason everybody's here is to see this guy. What's up, Eric?
Hey, guys. My internet actually went down, so I had to join on my phone, so I apologize.
Well, that's not a problem at all there, buddy. Hey, what have y'all been up to in the since we've had this conversation before? How much have y'all judged? Have you had James Park all the way from Australia? What have y'all been doing much judging?
Eric and I were brim to hat in lost them again.
He's come back
in Connecticut 2 weekends ago. So we shared a table. He predicted the outcome and tried to tell me how to judge.
Did you listen?
No,
not at all.
Attaboy. That's what
he did bring a dozen cannoli for breakfast on Sunday, though.
Well, hey, there you go. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
Nice.
Brian, how's California going? It's still sunny out there where you are.
It is. It is a little after 6 o'clock, and I'm looking at a couple of clouds outside, but nothing but blue skies. So there it is. I did not judge. There was a competition not too far outside of Los Angeles, about an hour and a half, 2 hours out in a place called Paris, California, barbecue boots and barbecue brew and boots. And I didn't judge. What I did is I shadowed an organizer so I could see exactly what organizers do. You guys are trying to find out what judges are all about. And since we're all trying to learn, I decided it's time for me to learn a little bit more so that when I am back in the tent, I know just that much more about what the judges are trying to do and what the organizers are trying to do. So I could be a better judge.
Dude, I love it. I love it. What did you learn as an organizer? I'd love to hear it. What'd you learn?
Well, I'll tell you what, one of these days I'd like to shadow you because you're an organizer also, right?
Yeah.
It's
November 16th and 17th, 17th and 18th, something like that.
There you go. Well, the fact is that there are a lot of details that have to be taken into consideration. A lot of little things have to happen that we don't know about in the tent. We probably know it. We just don't participate in it, you have to worry about water, hot ash, grease, electricity, those kinds of details, making sure that there's a tent for us to be in, accommodations, bathroom, so on and so forth. That's great. I'm sorry.
As an organizer, judging is just one of the aspects that go along. Like it's just we are very much you'll know. I mean, Eric, you know, like you're very much leaning on your judge coordinator and hoping for the best.
Right. The one thing that I still want to learn, I know it's going to take a little while. Like anything else, you have to know about the money, right? I want to know how it comes in and how it goes out. Show me the flow, because there are people along the way that have to be accommodated, right?
Yeah.
So that's a big detail, and I'd like to know about it.
That is the key. Sponsorships, and that is not the easiest thing to do for what we do. But you got to figure that part out. That's a whole nother organizer show that we need to have, and that's going to be awesome. With Ryan, you just set up another show for us, Adam.
There you go. Invite me.
We're going to do an organizer show next. I love that. Eric, what you been up to, buddy?
Man, taking a little bit of a time off, and as Joe said, we both went up to Connecticut, got up there in the snow, believe it or not, and judged a couple days of barbecue. And then this weekend, I think I'm going to go down and hit South Haven, Mississippi.
I want to see Wes.
Yeah,
man. Tell him we all said hello with that new fancy outlaw and everything else he's got down there. Adam, I'm going to start with you so I can lead into my next question. How do you choose what contests you're going to go cook?
I'd say it's all about the trophies, and the organizers is what makes me want to go back.
So the trophies, the organizer, how organized the event is, and everything else, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to give each one of you guys an opportunity to answer this question. And Joe, I'll start with you. How do you choose which contests you go and judge?
You know, a couple of years ago, I was looking for 50 states. I've got that, but I think my answer today is, you know, same as on the team side, barbecue is family. So I like to go to events that I'm going to see friends and family, whether that be other judges. There's a group of judges that do travel and are in pockets, or a couple teams that I know well. Or a couple organizers or reps that I do enjoy hanging out with. So that's a big part of it for me. Location, obviously, you know, the closer it is, willing to try stuff. But you know, for traveling, it's about who's going to be where and the family aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That's a big part for me, is where we're going to go, who we're going to be competing with, because hanging out with people. I love it.
Yep.
Brian?
We're all in the beginning of being a judge, we're all on a signature chase, right? So the closer we can find a home, the easier to get to. That's it. Just last Wednesday, I met a guy online who just hit his 38th signature competition in 1 year. Okay, that's almost impossible. Not impossible, but I'll tell you what, that's aggressive, and I'm glad he did that. So by now he's a master. But that was all local to the Kansas City area, within driving distance. Okay, so you can do that. Now for me, it's more, I'm just on a different path, destination and experience. So how do I decide where I'm going? How much fun am I going to have there? Have I ever been there before? I told you last time we spoke, I was down in Costa Rica in January, and I'm coming up to Honolulu in July. So, and by the same token, I hope to be able to go back to the Jack. That would be nice. So important ones, destination ones, that's what gets me going. But as a brand new judge, I would say, how close is it to home? And if I am going to travel, do I have friends and family wherever I'm going?
Gotcha. Now, you mentioned signature contest. Signature contest from what, if I remember from what we discussed the first time, a first time contest or first time to you contest. What is a signature contest?
No, I'm anytime I can go to a contest and get a signature because I want to get my 30 so I can become a master. Right.
Right.
That's really what it is. That's what I'm saying. I just want to be able to go get a signature for my book. You know that book that you showed us last time?
Yeah.
Your brand new book, you have to put your signatures inside there, right? Is if I can collect signatures and get it to my masters as quickly as I can, then that's what I'm looking for.
What were you going to ask to Adam?
I was going to ask Brian and Joe if they're coming to Lebanon for the KCBS Invitational.
I am not. It's Memorial Day weekend, and I was just down there for Smoke on the Shore. So I got a new grandbaby that I'm going to go see.
Congratulations, man. No, I'm not going. So, but soon enough, one of these years I'll be going.
Eric, you're up, buddy.
So I will be there in Lebanon, ironically enough. So
That's a shocker.
Yeah. So for me, when it comes to a contest, I'm like what Joe was saying early. I've still got a few states left to check off, so that's important to me. I am a loyalist, so if I have a contest that I really enjoy, I'm going to go back to that one if at all possible. Also, like contests that support good causes. You know, we put on a contest and what the contest is all about, because at the end of the day, what is this? Why are we going out here burning meat in the parking lot? Obviously, you know, we say the family aspect, you know, we want win a little bit of money, but if we can help a good cause and organization, and so it's just like your contest, Brian, you know, not only a friend, but you put on a good contest that does good work and support a good cause. And so anytime that you can provide food or money to provide food for a cause, you know, there you go.
That's awesome. All right, so one of my judge friends sent me this. Eric, how do you select the judge? But is it whatever's closest judges' gifts, if there is one, level of competition, reps, where judging is held, indoors, outdoors? I think that's a great question. Like when you say level of competition, Eric, are you talking about and I know Brian, you said you want to go back to the Jack. Right? Like, is that something that you're talking about, Eric? Like how big of a contest it is, and then judges' gifts. Like, what's it like? A judges' gifts? Is that the bags? Is that the pins? Like, what is all that stuff?
Yeah, some places they don't give us anything, and you know we don't. I don't think come to expect getting something going to a contest, but it's awful nice, you know, like coming to your contest and you get a cool pin, or, you know, we give out T-shirts at Smoke on the Shores. There's little different things that you'll see at certain contests that, hey, man, that was pretty cool. You know, I want to come back there. As far as the level of competition, you know, do you want to go to one of the premier contests such as the American Royals, such as the World Invitational, the Jack, where, you know, you've got the who's who in competition barbecue.
Atlanta Barbecue Store Classic.
Smoke
on the Shores.
On the Shores, you know, or do you want to go to a contest to where they got 25 teams? And there's no offense to any contest out there, but I'm just saying, if you know that you've got the who's who that's all battling it out in one place, you know, I want to be a part of that if at all possible. So,
yeah, that's
all-star teams, right?
Well, when the best are there, you know, I feel like, you know, I'm one of the best on this, and that's a little bit biased here, but, you know, from a judge perspective, I want to go where they're competing, and so, you know, offer my services on the other side.
Mm-hmm. Have any of y'all thought about going to Australia?
Oh, I'd love to go to Australia. It's on my bucket list. My wife knows that I want to go to Australia.
There you go, James. James Park. Yes, he's a judge in Australia. I think he's on the western side, which I think the western side has a little bit different sanction bodies, and the eastern side I think has. I don't know. He's explained it some to me, but Australia sounds like it's a really cool up and coming barbecue mecca. So that's pretty cool.
They have the Australian Barbecue Society or Association, the ABA.
Yeah.
And so you can tell your friend James, I need a favor from you. Get in touch with me, or let me get in touch with you, because I want to come to Meatstock. It's not sanctioned, but it's a huge, huge event. And it's in 4 different locations on the eastern side. somewhere between Melbourne and Sydney. Tried to do some homework already for you, James. I want to go, so hook me up when I get there, okay?
Cook.
And I'm
It's kind of like Woodstock for meat.
That's right. Yes. All right. So you brought that up, I think, Eric. I think you said it. You said you're the best judge. You feel like you're a good judge, so you want to go judge. Is there competition amongst the judging? Well, let me just ask this: are judges as competitive as cook teams? If so, how?
That's a good question.
I don't think so. I mean, pre-pandemic, about the most competitive we got is who's going to get the end seat on a 6-foot table where they're putting 4 small guys like me on the long side. You know, you didn't want, just like at the dinner table, you didn't want to be in the middle. But since the pandemic, the tables have spread out, and so it's not as competitive for that. There's a couple people might be chasing numbers. You know, who's got 200, who's got 300, who's got 400. I think it's a friendly. There's a little friendly rivalry with a couple, but I don't think there's real. I've never seen any serious competition amongst judges.
Yeah.
That from the judge that's already got the 50 states checked off that everybody else is chasing out there. So, you know, he's not worried about it here, but, you know, you heard us saying that, you know, we want to get all 50 states. But I would say even, you know, that inside when you're sitting at the table and judges have all sampled a category, and as we debrief after the category and we talk amongst ourselves, we're all somewhat passionate about what we liked and what we didn't like. And as far as trying to defend certain ones, and even the contest that Joe and I were at, we had some judges that were there and they didn't like what Joe and I liked. I think that there was one entry, especially in the pork category, that stood out head and shoulders above all the others. Obviously, the scoring was already over for that particular category, but you asked the question, what did you like? What didn't you like? Why didn't you like this? And it's like, man, are we wrong here? Or, you know, are they missing something, you know, in that sense? And obviously there is part of it that is somewhat subjective, but for 2 out of the 3 pieces, I don't think is as subjective as the others. So I would say there's probably some competitiveness, whether we look at it that way or not.
You know, guys, the only thing I've seen as far as competitive that resembles it is just being able to sign up early for a contest, right? Being able to get in. If you have a competition that only has 25 teams coming to it, and you've got 50 judges that want to sit down, you know, I need to hurry up and make sure that my name is on the list. I'm not confirmed yet, but I know that I signed up early. All right. So that's about the closest to competition I see. Otherwise, I think very confidently that everybody practices that word camaraderie that we throw around here, right? You guys on the cook end have tremendous camaraderie. You see each other, you lend each other stuff that has some value. All we lend each other is our opinion, right? So as far as competing, we're not in that room to compete with one another other than just to be able to get a seat at the table. And the only way that I know right now that we can do that is just to sign up early. And there are people that do sign up very early, and we check months in advance.
Yeah, I think we have a bunch of people already signed up for ours. I don't know if Blake Moore is being serious with this because I don't know, but he said the real competition is getting the coveted table captain seat. He would rather table captain the judge any day. I don't know if that's true or not or how that works, but
it works both ways. There's people who show up who are there to eat and they don't want to do anything else. And then there's, you know, folks who show up and want to help the event and will do whatever is needed.
Yeah. First, hi, Blake. Second, I've never seen anyone try to compete to be the table captain. So
Blake took this lady out in Connecticut up there. I wasn't going to say it, but man, it was. I wish we had it. I wish we had it on film here. We play a clip there. So,
would he knock her down or what?
oh man, he just bum rusher, when they were talking about only seating 5 tables, it's like.
So, Blake, it wasn't me that just threw you under the bus, okay?
Off the top rope.
But what Eric said earlier about competition, I just see that as passion for the food. I don't think we're competing. I think we're just passionate about our opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably a better way to say it.
Right.
That's great. Adam, go ahead.
Do y'all get as much out of cooking with the team as we
I love cooking with a team. I number one, I think there's a lot more fun going on the team side. A lot harder work, I tell you. I know because like I'm in a chair till Wednesday after doing a double, and I can't really walk very much. But so it's a lot harder on the body and it's a lot of work. I appreciate that, but every time I do it, I'm learning something. I have a better appreciation for it, and I like the camaraderie. And there's more, in your judge's tent, you talk a little bit, but when you're out in the tent in the cook site, there's a lot more banter.
Banter's a good word. To answer your question, absolutely, Adam. If you're asking if we get as much out of it as you get out of hanging out with us, I don't know if that's an equal comparison, but we absolutely enjoy doing it, and I wish we did it more. I've been I don't know how many teams Joe has cooked with and how often he's actually cooked, but I've cooked with 6 teams, 5 walked, and when you have that learning experience, that's what you take back to the tent as a judge. And that confidence is really, really important when you're sitting down. Certainly as compared to when you're brand new. If you haven't had any competitions, or if this is your first one, you're trying to figure out, what am I going to do? How am I supposed to judge this? Do I compare? None of that stuff. It's that you're not quite as confident. You sit down with somebody or stand next to them in that 10 by 10, and you're helping them garnish, you're helping them clean, cut, whatever is necessary. Man, that's life experience right there. So no, you don't get as much out of it as we get from you. Right? But we hope you learn from us, because
That's what I'm saying.
Somewhere along the way, there are 4 different times you're going to say, Brian, bite this and let me know what you think. Right? Because you want to know that it's quote worthy, or if it's the right one to go into the box. Right? That's one of the main reasons that you have us there. We're there to learn. So.
And a lot of times it's more than 4 bites. It's
might be 5,
8, 12 bites, right? Because it's like,
right.
How does this taste? What can I do to make this better? Is this any good? It's like there's a whole bunch of different things to make it better. But I think that's awesome. Eric, what about that?
Well, Wes Garrett, he's always talking about how many people's notes and stuff that he's got. I think I've got one up on him. So, I got enough that I could probably write a cookbook myself from all the folks out there. And so, and I don't know how that I'm able to do it, but I appreciate all you guys as far as letting me come into your trailers and hang out and shig off of you, because in my opinion, I feel like I'm getting a class every time that I go. And I probably ask more questions than the actual pitmasters ask me in reverse. But if you guys know me, I'm very opinionated. And so I always tell folks, don't ask me if you don't want to hear what that I have to say. It's just like a butt, though. It's just my opinion. And at the end of the day, it's your cook. So whatever goes in the box, I want it to be what you feel as though that goes in the box. If I can help you in just a slight little bit, and if I see you do well or have some form of success, we take pride, or at least I take pride in seeing that happen. So,
Well, last 2 times I saw Eric in a cook site, they GC'd. So, for what it's worth.
Yeah, I know.
It's something that we're going to be working on. Eric and I, we got something. And Eric, we got some stuff that we're working on for the ABS Classic moving forward, and we'll bring that up later, Eric. But that's there could be an opportunity. Just saying, just going to throw that out there a little.
Anytime you're available, you just call me.
little sneak peek, whatever. There could be something there.
If you can help me,
But-
GC, come on, right?
That's right. That's right. So going right along with this, and Eric, I'll let you go last. If you have one team that you could go cook with, who would you go cook with if there was one team today that you're like, you know what, next weekend or whatever I'm available, I'm going to set aside, I'm not going to go judge, but I'm going to go spend a weekend and go cook with this team. Who would that be? Joe, I'll let you start.
Well, just because I'm a homer, I would just say, getting basted right now, I'd love to go wash his knives for him. And I think you asked, somebody said historical team, maybe.
Yeah.
I only met him one time, Mike Mills.
Yep.
I just think that I would have liked to watch him cook.
Yeah. He's definitely a legend. What you got, Brian?
Well, why wouldn't I say Tuffy Stone, Heath Riles, maybe even Malcolm Reed, and also Brad Leininger? The guy's been on fire for the last several years. If I'm going to take anything from any of those guys, it's going to go into my backyard, right? So I can be a better backyard cook. So those are the people I would want. I just want to go with the best so I can learn. Other than the two of you.
Of course.
Okay.
That was a given. We know that's a given. I mean, anytime Bad Rooster's available, I'm telling you, I've done it. Go cook with that guy. He's amazing.
Okay.
Eric?
Don't shake your head at him.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to hurt some feelings because I've got so many people that I think I'm close with on the team side. And so at the end of the day, I can't go wrong with anybody that I say unless that I don't say. Jason Cole with Hot Coals, I've been trying to cook with that guy for like 10 years. And so I've already given up hope on that one's going to happen. So I've moved on. Kip Polk, Canned Heat out in Texas. I would love, and I've been around Kit so many different times, whether it be in Wyoming, whether it be in Texas, Alabama, and I still can't figure that guy out. And so I don't know that I could in one cook, but he is a very interesting guy, and it doesn't matter what that he's doing. So just from an amusement perspective, probably if I could have a full cook with Kit, got a lot of color on it right there. But my guy that I probably just to cook with him is Drew Davis, Razorbacks. And the reason for Drew, man, that guy is just so laid back. He's a minimalist, and it's almost like it's effortless with him. And I've been with Drew. I've taken his class and saw a lot of stuff that he did. But I just would probably like to hang out with him during a full cook and just go through the process. As far as OGs, maybe somebody that's not cooking anymore, it'd be a guy named Donnie Bray, Warren County Pork Choppers. Man, there's so many people out there that are still using some of his tips and tricks that he's threw out. And that guy, he's excelled at whatever that it's been, whether it be racing or whether it be competition barbecue. I see people and they'll come out and they'll say, man, look, I've got this pizza stone and I fix to heat my stuff back up on that. And I know, and it's like you have no clue where that actually come from and who originated that. So, but there would be my guys.
Yeah.
Wes Garrett, he might be a close in there, but now he's got this new trailer and stuff. I doubt he lets me get anywhere close to it.
What you got, Brian?
Are we allowed to ask you who you would like to cook with?
Adam. Go ahead, Adam. And then I'll answer later. Adam.
I've had fortune to cook with some of them. I've cooked with Bill Hine. He's a good one. I think Brad would be very interesting because he seems to hit wherever he goes. Bill Purvis would be another good one, I think. Jordan would be another good one. Brian Jarvis is a pretty good one to cook with.
Then they're done that. That's easy. We've already done that. We've already done that one. Whatever. Moving on.
And the other one that I've always is Smoke Me Silly. Robert would be a good one, I think, to do a class.
Fun. I would say Tim Shear would be one that I would be interested in, and for the sheer fact of the dude doesn't cook very often, but when he does, he wins. And it's not. I mean, look, cooking barbecue is cooking barbecue. I think everybody does the barbecue part of it the same, but it's how do you finish that last 15 minutes is the big thing. And I feel like that guy is probably as good as anybody to ever do it. I wouldn't mind cooking with Iowa Smoky D's either. Like I think he's another one too that is a guy that just fixes it on the board. Brad, he's killing it. I mean, the guy wins everywhere. What I love about that guy is he wins everywhere he goes. He gets it set up in his mind that he's going to go win, and guess what? He's going to go win. And I think it's kind of cool. But that it like. I think there's a lot of them.
Those two guys came out to Las Vegas this past November. Brad took GC and Tim took RGC. So, to your point, something happens in that last 15 minutes, and I agree with you. I want to know what that is.
Right. And I think there could be some of it that they just have, right? Like it's that the taste.
Back. Yep.
They know what to do with it. And I think that's awesome. Yeah, Smoke Central, George, he's a good one. What you got, Eric?
And to be fair to the rest of the folks out there, I've been very blessed. As I said, I've got to hang out with Tim. I've got to hang out with Brad. I've got to hang out with Jordan, Chris Schaefer, Fred Robles, Phil Breeden, Len Paul. The list goes on and on. So I've been very, very blessed on my side here. So some of the names that may be, huge names that I overlooked, it's because I've had an opportunity, fortunately, to hang out with them. And
for me, we're the Atlanta Barbecue Store. We have the absolute best cook teams in the country. There's nobody out there that can compete with our teams. We have the best of the best, and I know them, and we talk, and I'm the same with you, Eric. It's like we're super blessed to be able to know the best of the best in the industry, and that's cool for us.
The SS Trio would be a fun one.
Dude, I tell you, that would just be fun just to go hang out with. I mean, I say it would be. Been there. They're a blast. These guys are fun. Like, I mean, that's some of the – and look, I've talked to Adam. Adam and I have talked about it. I don't get to cook much. I'm getting to the point now where it's like, dude, I'd rather just go cook with other people. Screw like having a team. I'll just go cook with some other people and go have fun and help with whatever I can do, because I don't get to cook a whole lot. But barbecue seems to be I'm not saying it's good, bad, and different. I don't know. I don't know what it's like in the judges' tent. I don't know. I do know that we can't have as an organizer, Brian, you brought this up earlier. As an organizer, you can only have the amount of teams of what you get judges-wise. So the judges are more integral to a contest than the teams are, because if I go out and get 100 teams and I only got 75 judges, I'm screwed. Right. But if I can go out and get 150 judges, now I can have up to 110, whatever that number is, Eric, teams. So you got to have judges so you can have teams. And how is it on y'all's side? What do you see?
Brian, hold on a second. Hold on. A call just came in, so I lost everything you heard. I'm sorry. The last I heard was we need judges.
Yeah, we need judges as a team, as an organizer, so we can have more teams show up.
I have no audio. So.
Can y'all hear me, Eric?
I got you, Brian.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, why don't you come back to me a little bit later, okay? I'll see if I can get some audio.
Okay.
Apologies.
You're good. What is it like with the team or as judges? How is it are y'all able, is barbecue dying in the judges side, or is it good in the judges side? What are we looking at as y'all see?
When I was judging out on the West Coast, we had more judges than needed. I think it's a regional thing. I know in the Pacific Northwest, they struggle to get judges. A lot of it is because it's 4 hours in between contests and people are driving and gas prices, same challenge to getting teams and, the cost to compete. And there were judges who didn't want to drive 4 or 5 hours to go judge a competition. We don't, it's mixed. There's events that have twice as many judges as they need. And then there's other events that struggle at the last minute to find judges. I think part of the problem is that the invites for judges depend on teams signing up. So they're not inviting 50 judges and then you get 25 teams and then they're telling judges don't come. And at the last minute, I have opportunities. There might be 3 comps. And granted, I'm fortunate enough to be able to travel. So if they don't need a judge, down the street from me, I can go to Pennsylvania or North Carolina or Florida or Tennessee. But the late notice, so earlier teams sign up, the earlier judges get invited. I think that helps. But it's a struggle for the organizers because teams don't want to sign up early. So you're left in the lurch on how many judges to invite.
Yeah. Blake said one of the challenges is not knowing if you're going to get selected until the last minute. That is brutal, right? Like that is brutal as an organizer. And like, look, Eric, you were our judge coordinator last year, and it was like I didn't mess with it. I was like Eric, are we good? I mean, that was my question. Are we good or are we not good? And you're like, well, we're working on it. I'm like, all right, sounds good. And then, yeah, we're good now, right? So I didn't have to mess with it. I didn't have to do it as long as you get a good coordinator. But Brian, the question is, how are the judges? Like, is the judges dying or that like people say there's cook teams not cooking as much? I don't know if they are or not, or they're coming or going or whatever, but I don't know the stats. But the overall question is what can we do to grow barbecue? What is it? What can we do to make barbecue grow? Is there how does that work from the judge's side, in your opinion, as a judge?
Wow, it's a loaded question.
That's a good question, then.
So, for sure. Lately, I've been having people ask me, how can we make barbecue more public facing? And I'm trying to piece that together and say, I would think, particularly from an organizer's perspective, is to join cooking the competition with some kind of event that's already going to take place anyway. There are a lot of times when we have all experienced it, a lot of times when we have just the competition in a parking lot, in a park somewhere, and then people come around and go, hey, what's this all about? But you can't come in, right? You can't be a part of our little party. So I think if you're going to ask me the question, how do we grow barbecue? It just has to be, we have to involve the public, right? As the question I heard a little bit earlier about how the comparison between the amount of judges and the amount of teams, I apologize for going back to that question, but what I thought you were asking has not been my experience. My experience has been, as soon as we find out how many teams we have, then we'll know how many judges we need. And we can always get more judges, at least my experience here on the West Coast. Vegas, Arizona, California, we have a lot of judges that want to participate. We just need to make sure that we get the teams to commit. And I think I just heard you say a lot of that happens at the very last minute. So that's when the organizer, the rep, gets to say, okay, now we can have so many judges available or that we can bring in. But your first question to me, I would say, is just figure out a way as an organizer to get the people involved.
100%. 100%. Eric, you've been a judge coordinator. I don't know if Joe or Brian, have you been judge coordinators or not, but I know Eric has been. So what is the challenge as a judge coordinator for the judge? Like, as they're saying, when teams don't sign up, I know me as an organizer, I'm going in there saying, I know I've got another 15 teams that are going to sign up, right? Like I'm anticipating another 15 to 20 teams. We're at this number now, but I'm anticipating more. What is the struggle, Eric, in that situation?
Yeah, so Brian, perfect example. The KCBS World Invitational is coming up Memorial Day weekend. We talked about it briefly at our place. And so our team, we help them on the backside because that event's held where we host our contest, Smoke on the Shores. And one of the things that we see, as both of the guys said, right now there's a lot of judges, probably twice as many judges signed up as there are teams. And unfortunately, we're not going to invite that many judges for them all just to come and stand against the wall and hold the wall up. You know, we want to make sure we do them a solid and go ahead and say that's why that a lot of contests will end up putting a deadline out there. That way that we know. And just like with your contest, we knew that there was ones that hadn't signed up because barbecue is not a cheap sport. Especially when you go to some of these big contests and they've got 4 or 5 other contests that are happening before. You know, your contest, it happens after another big contest that people have to travel a long distance and they've already out a lot of money to come. And so, you know, you guys, as well as us and some of the other contests out there, you know, we're blessed that people come and support us. But I think really what it goes back to, Brian, it's on both sides from the judge's perspective as well as the contest perspective is barbecue should be about having fun. And if you can make your contest about having fun and we can make it to where the judges have a great experience on the inside, that's going to go a long way. How do we do that? You know, there's a lot of different ways, but one of the keys is communication. We need to stay in contact. And as my role as a judge coordinator in any of the contests that I'm associated with, I want to over communicate to you about what's going on. Not because Joe's on here, but Joe can attest. You get a lot of emails from me when you're a part of a contest, whether you've been selected or I want to let everybody know what we're looking for our contest and then where that you stand. And I'm telling the folks because the problem, and this is not a knock to the judges, but judges, if you're listening to the show, hear us out. You know, your track record, it matters. And people, they will take note of that. And if you're the type person that will sign up and bail on them and not be somebody that they can depend on and count on, you know, you'll go on the list to where that organizers will talk to one another on who that they want to invite and who that they don't want to invite. If you're somebody like Joe to where that he says, you know, look, man, I'll go down to Pennsylvania or I'll go over here to Tennessee and I'll help you out. You know, those are the type of folks that you're looking for when it comes to that. Everybody is learning. They're at different stages, just like the cook teams on the other side. You know, not everybody's going to travel 4 or 5 hours or longer. Some of them, they want to stay. Some of them may only do 1 to 2 contests. That's all good, but at the end of the day, we gotta go back and we say, what's our mission? What do we want to accomplish? We want everybody to have the best experience possible that they can at our contest. And this is one of the things to where that I challenge KCBS and our board members and everybody else that's a part of it. Because if you're a member of KCBS, I would say that all of our role was part of making barbecue the best experience possible. You don't have to necessarily be the contest organizer, the judge coordinator, a sponsor, a board member, etc. Any part that we contribute to an event, let's make it to where that it's something that everybody can hopefully take away from. Man, that was a fun experience. Because if you just go through the motions and it was non-memorable, chances are, you know, you may not be back from that. It doesn't have to necessarily be about, I got some monetary gift from going to that contest. People, they always say this to us, and you know, I say this out here to the whole group that's watching. At Smoke on the Shores, we're very blessed with the number of teams that come and support us, as well as the number of judges, the number of reps. We try to put that contest on to give back to 2 charities, Operation Barbecue Relief and Operation Stand Down Tennessee. We want to be fair to the cook teams, and we want to do a decent payout on the other side. But we also let everybody know we're here to raise a little bit of money from charity. And if we communicate that out front to everybody, I think everybody understands what they're signing up for. And it's the same thing with a barbecue contest. There's certain contests that they tell the judges that it's a no take home contest, meaning that the food that you sample, you're not taking that home in a cooler. And so at the end of the day, just think about why that you're actually coming to this event. If you're there just to eat, and Joe said, that we've got certain judges, that they'll raise their hand and say, man, I'm here just to eat.
Mm.
That when you sign up for the contest, you agree to be a part of the contest. And one of the things I think they should add to that, agree to be a part of the contest in any way possible to make the contest a success. You've got organizers like yourself, Brian, that's involved in barbecue. On the flip side, you've got organizers that are involved in barbecue but are not involved in barbecue as a judge or a cook team. And so it's harder for them than it is somebody who is in the sport. And so they're really on their own. KCBS has a very limited staff. All sanctioned bodies has a very limited staff. And so the love that they get is sometimes tough. And so we have to bridge that gap as folks who have been in the barbecue community to step up. You hear people that always want to complain and they're first, to talk about how somebody did something wrong, but try to offer a solution or try to be part of the solution. That's where that I think that, how we can help barbecue. There's so many contests that we don't have anymore. And the problem with that is these contests out there have faced whatever kind of challenges. Obviously, everything is revolved around money. It takes money to make the world go round, and sponsors are out there that are choosing to take their dollars elsewhere, or the dollars are thinning in that regard. So how do we bridge that gap when there is less and less of that? And I think it is, number one, we communicate with everybody and we reach out. The cool thing with judges, you ask judges, man, I need 10 volunteers to come and help me set up before the contest. You'll probably get 20. The people are dedicated in that regard. We saw that at Connecticut, people that were there. That contest, as we were saying, and this was no joke, it was snowing the very first day of the contest. They usually have that where that you judge outside underneath a little pavilion that has no sides on it. We were very fortunate that they allowed us to move those picnic tables inside their little campground office that they had and judged indoors. What did we do? We had judges that just went and started picking up every one of those picnic tables and brought those in just so that the contest organizer could pivot on the fly. So that's a long answer to say, communication is key, but also, we got to make it fun.
Yeah.
As a judge that has to wait in line sometimes, wait online sometimes, just wondering whether I'm in or not. I believe that over communication is a very good thing, as opposed to just not getting anything at all. And a lot of times when judges wait to see, am I in? They gonna call me? I've got 2 weeks to go before the competition. I'm not sure if I'm in or not. What do I do? You send an email, and you're just waiting. I don't think that's. I'll say the word fair. Okay, I would much rather have over communication versus still wondering where I stand in the whole process. But that's like any application, whether it's a job application, right? Are they going to call me? And you had a great interview, but you just tell me, just talk to me. That's all I need, right?
That's all we want to know is what happened. How did I score?
Yeah, Brian, if I go back to your original question about how do you grow barbecue, how do you grow the sport, Eric touched on it. It's all about the money, right? Because if you're organizers and you're one and done, it's probably because you lost money. You didn't cover your costs, you didn't support the charity, and it's a lot of work to put it on. And so if you're not getting any payback, they got to find another way to raise that money. So, how do you do that? How can you take cost out of the sport for the teams? There's been some playing around with let's provide the meat, You have to have a sponsor, right? They provide the meat. It's a little bit more challenging for teams. A lot of teams don't like that particularly. Some do. Um, but ways to take money out um, through sponsors, paying deep at events. So maybe you get $50 and you got some gas money. Keep teams engaged. But the organizers, I don't want to say they have to make money, but they can't be losing money and the sport expect to grow.
100%. 100%. And I agree wholeheartedly with that.
Oh,
Go, Adam.
all right. To the judges, if you're a new judge, how do you get in the loop of getting picked? Do you need to take the J Cup first, or how do they get where they can go judge? Because I had a guy that took the class with us reach out to me like, how do I get into judge? Because I've tried and haven't got in yet. So how do they get in this loop?
Here, I'll go first, and I'll say this, and I'll share from my experience. I was very fortunate that I had a guy named Bert Moses that got me into barbecue, and so Smoke on the Shores, we do an award in honor of Bert. But Bert took me underneath his wing, and we went out to contest, and so many things that he told me, and he's the reason why that I'm part of Smoke on the Shores. He told me, he said, man, you need to go and help those guys. And at first, being somebody brand new, I had no idea I thought that, man, he was serious about it. And so very first year, I'm there with Dennis and everybody, and we're slinging trash. But you don't have to go and sling trash. But even if you're not selected, what I tell folks, especially these new judges, and we had some that come to Brian's contest that had just recently got certified, come, we'll find something for you to do, or just watch what's happening inside the tent. Come and volunteer, even if you don't get selected. If you go up to those judge coordinators, if you go up to those reps and you let them know that you're interested and you're willing to do some of these things, because part of becoming a master judge, as Brian was talking about, you have to do other roles outside of judging. And so being here is part of becoming a master judge. So that's the key. You have to be open other than just sitting at that table to eat.
Got to be persistent. Put your applications in. A lot of events still are not on KCBS. I mean, I had to get Louisiana signed off on, and that was an event that I just reached out. I emailed the organizer, judge coordinator, and said, "Hey, here's what I'm trying to do." You could say, "Hey, I'm a new judge trying to get into an event." In my case, it was saying, "Hey, I'm trying to do 50 states. I need Louisiana." He says, "I got no spots for you. I'll put you on a wait list." And a week before, he said, "It's late. Do you want to come down?" I said, "Heck yeah, I'll be there." You just gotta communicate, be persistent, keep signing up, and there's events that you could show up with and say, "Hey, I'm not on your list. If you need me, I'm here. I'll do whatever you need."
That being said, two answers. Number one, right in line with that is self-promote. Let them know, let the organizers and the representatives know via email. Look, I want to do this. I'm a brand new judge. I need to get some experience. Can you just, tag me? Just let me know that it's available. But by the same token, I think it's very important for the representatives and organizers to get together and say, we're going to set aside a certain amount of seats or percentage or whatever of seats just for brand new CBJs, right? Because they need to get their foot in the door. They need to be able to say, I want to do this. I have a lady that I recruited last year. She came to an event and she told me, she says, I've been trying to get into a couple of other events. I just thought all I had to do was sign up and they would accept me as a judge. No, it's not like that. You're not the only person that's trying to get this seat. You have some tenured people, judges that have lots of experience. So if the organizers and reps could work together to help those brand new CBJs and say, okay, we have all these other really seasoned people, but we also need to help these other people get started so that they eventually can be seasoned people.
But Adam, your comment was you threw out the question about J-Cup. J-Cup is certainly important, and I know that
That's the first thing I told him, to make sure you get your J-Cup done first.
Mhm.
J-Cup is a lot of organizers themselves are asking for J-Cup certified judges. There's really nothing that would prevent you from being able to be J-Cup certified other than maybe an hour of your time.
And I no bashing, no nothing. Took the class. If you don't take Jacob, to me, I learned way more from the Jacob class than I did from the judges class. So as an organizer, Eric will tell you, I want Jacob people on my. If I can get Jacob, they're going first. I know. Rod Gray said at the Invitational they want Jacob there for their contest.
Mhm.
If you're coming as an organizer, I'll tell you right now, look, the best way, your best bet to get in is to call the organizer and just see it, because I can tell my judge coordinator I want this person there.
Yep.
And they're going to do it.
Absolutely.
Well, why don't
So-
they just teach J-Cup instead of the class we got?
That's a good point. I
That's
think
all
maybe-
CBS minutes.
Well, I'm sorry. What was the question?
Why is Jacob not taught as part of the judges class? The information in the information.
It's a great question, and the judge committee is talking about that.
That's right.
Yeah.
That is correct.
So people have been sitting on the phone on this call for 56 minutes and 51 seconds, and they're all wanting to know this one question that we haven't asked yet, and we're going to ask it now, Adam. Guys, all the cooks want to know, and I'll say as the cook side, what can we do to be better cooks? So as judges, without getting too deep into like whatever, what is a little bit of advice you can give a cook team? And I don't care. Adam, you can choose who goes first. I don't care.
Let's start with Joe.
I'm torn on this because I want to say be true to yourself and be true to your profile and your cook. I think innovation, there's a lot of us who want innovation and good flavor and good food. I still think there's some hesitancy for acceptance of that in certain quarters in the tent. Consistency is important. But I think, cook what you love. Put passion into it.
For sure. And they do. There's no lack of passion in there. I asked a cook from the East Coast once when he came out to Cali, do you change your recipe? Do you change your flavor profile according to where you're cooking? And his answer was, I keep the same flavor profile everywhere I go. So and he happens to be a winning competitor. Okay. So consistency is a very good word. And I'm going to take it a step further by saying, notwithstanding your experience, Brian and Adam, I would say find yourself a class to go to and eventually skip a contest or two and get inside the tent so you can have conversations. Okay.
And even if you don't go judge, get in the tent, volunteer, because you have access to the judges.
That's right. That's right.
There.
Hey, go to the leftover table and sample.
Yeah, at ours, my brother does that, and he's sampling everything, right? I mean,
The best thing that a cook could actually do in the tent is to do double duty, meaning they're short on judges and you're the table captain and a judge, because you're tasting the food and you're seeing everybody's scores.
Yeah, that's true.
At your table.
Yeah, that's great. That makes a lot of sense.
Double duty is one of the answers to your earlier question about what happens if we have not enough judges and too many cooks.
Yeah.
Judges do double duty.
Yeah. Eric, you got any advice?
Yeah. So number one, and this sounds like a cop out, but become friends with judges. And I say that in sincerity, because again, they'll give you feedback. Obviously, I think I said this the last time that we talked. Judges will lie to you. We're trained to lie to you here. But, once you break down that barrier and you build that friendship with them, then the judges will pull back those layers and try to give you honest feedback. But here, I said this before, and I don't know who always heard me say this, but not just try your food, but try your food when the judges are trying your food. So, for example, if you got ribs and usually you think you nailed that tenderness on it, set that rib to the side, wait about 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and then go back and try that when we're actually, you hear so many times, man, they told me that it was tight, it felt like it was chewy, etc. I bit right into that thing. How did that thing tighten up just in that short amount of time? So find you a piece that is close to what that you put in the box and then go back in, especially in a tenderness game. KCBS, it's really tenderness, because tenderness and taste go hand in hand so many different times. The other thing that when I say try your food is, I've been in folks' trailer and they just go through their process and they're hitting it with salt, they're hitting it with this. And it's like, man, how did you know it needed that? Try your food at the different stages before putting that on there, because at the end of the day, it's much easier to add something than it is to take something out. You were also talking about some of the amazing pitmasters such as Tim Shear, who's got an amazing palate. Well, use that to your advantage, and then you figure out at the end what you can add, what that you hopefully don't have to take out, but how you adjust before that it goes into the box. And if you're trying your food there when we're trying the food, chicken's going to go really quick. So almost as soon as you turn that in, 5 to 7 minutes, you probably or can try the chicken. Ribs are probably going to be 10 to 15 minutes. Same with pork. And then brisket's probably going to be in that window as well. It all depends on the number of teams that's going to be in a competition. But with your food, and I'm not saying that this is what that happens, but your food needs to taste good even if it's cold. So if you pulled it out of the refrigerator and you went back in and you tasted it later, maybe after you got a comment card, yeah, it's going to change, but still you can pick up certain things. And keep this in mind, and I tell everybody this: judges try to help you and provide advice, and they want to give you advice, but it's hard for judges sometimes to articulate exactly in the words what they're trying to say. So if you get a comment card from a judge, don't just go off and blast them, because all of a sudden you look, it's like, man, what does this guy know here? He's clueless. And you hear people that go out there and they'll make these comments. Judges are cooks or folks that can't cook. Don't go there, man. Everybody's got their space. And for us, I think the three of us, we feel as though we're good judges. Obviously you guys feel like you're good cooks. And so at the end of the day, be good at whatever that you do, but try to build that bridge and make that bond, because if you guys provide us better food, we're going to be much happier and hopefully get better scores.
Yeah, Brian.
Brian, before you wrap up, I'm asking you to allow me to get on my soapbox here. And part of your answer is, from me anyway, is I'm constantly asking people and encouraging them to build a bridge. Judges need to not be afraid to go talk to the cooks after 2:00 or on a Friday night. Build a bridge. And cooks, we're asking you to welcome the judges and say hi. All right. Hey, come over here. I want you to try something. Just talk. All right. And I think we judges need to spend a little bit more time being not proactive, but more outgoing. All right. Now, a lot of judges do go around and talk to the cooks, particularly the seasoned ones. They've been around, they know you, they talk to you. Hey, how's it going? But we need to go out and talk to you. And we're asking you to welcome us. And it's okay for you to be outgoing and say, yes, let's have a conversation, right? Because that builds the bridge and it contributes to that whole thing about the barbecue family. right? We're not just cousins. Maybe we can be closer cousins, right? I just want us all to talk with each other a little bit more. And if you're going to ask me, how can you become better cooks? Well, talk to us. That's what we ask you to do. Okay.
I love that. I think it's great. Y'all all heard me talk about it. Like, it's all about bringing everybody in together. We do our potluck on Friday night, and we do everything. Like, we don't do ancillaries on Friday night because that is built time for us to do our potluck, whether the judges can come to, the sponsors can come to, the reps can come to, the teams can come to, bring everybody that's involved in our event to come and sit down in one building together and eat dinner and talk and have a good time. And I think that is very integral in what it's going to take to get everything to go and want to be a part of it and everything else. That's me, and that's just the way I do it. I'm not saying it's right, wrong, whatever.
Thank you for doing that.
I think it's great, and I love the fact that, and we've got to meet Adam. We've met a lot of judges through it,
A lot of them.
and
A lot of us are intimidated by the teams. I mean, the first 5 years I judged, I mean, I knew a team, and that's all I knew. And then, cooking with the team, I met more teams, and I've met more teams hanging around with Eric, just following the hat around at a contest. And he's very good at his job and introduces me to everybody. So, that's the easiest way for me to meet new teams.
All right, we got a question from the crowd. David wants to know: does some judges know whose meat is in the box based on appearance and flavor, or flavor?
I can't tell.
I can't tell.
There's so many pieces that look exactly alike, So, no. Go ahead, Joe.
I will tell you, when I judge number one and then I'm on number three, I don't remember number one.
Right. That's right.
I'm focused on what I'm doing, giving it a fair score. But no, and I've cooked with one particular team, 4 or 5 times a year, and then I'll judge an event that they're at. I couldn't tell it's theirs from the taste or the appearance in the box.
No.
I can tell you, Adam, more than probably most, because if you look at my spice and rub cabinet in there, and Brian and Ellen can attest to this, I buy a lot of product. I don't necessarily know how to use all of the product, but and I am a sucker when it comes to somebody's gotten something new that comes out. And I do use these from time to time. And so I'm the person who has cooked a lot of bad barbecue, and you got to cook a lot of bad barbecue to eventually figure out how to cook some good barbecue. But inside doing all of that, man, I can pick up on some of these things, and it translates over to what that we're actually partaking in from the samples that are turned in. So, for example, at one contest, I was like, man, I know that's Boss Hog pork injection. And the person that was sitting beside me, they said, how in the world do you know that? I said, Bill Breeden gave me a bottle of that, and I used it last week, and I'm 100% that's Boss Hog pork injection.
On the other hand, you also have that day when somebody says, well, there's Blues Hog on that. Well, how do you know? Just everybody's got Blues Hog in there. Well, I didn't know anything about that. I was too young to know that whole process. But there is a look. But just because Adam cut it with Blues Hog and Brian cut it with Blues Hog, it doesn't mean it belongs to either of you, because the 12 people on your row out in the camp have the same look, right? So I'm going to answer your question by saying, no, it's so difficult to even concentrate on knowing what it looks like, because, as Joe said, I've moved on. I can't use those brain cells to worry about that. I need to worry about what is presented to my eyes.
And
y'all said that you're intimidated by cooks. I think there's a lot of cooks that are intimidated by judges also, and talking to them. I think it goes both ways, and I agree with you, Brian, 100%. We've got to bridge that gap somehow, some way, and I think shows like tonight are what it's all about. And we're all out there trying to we as cooks love to judge. Like we love to cook and we like to and cook the food. I could care less about eating my own food. I don't like to eat barbecue very often, but I like to cook it, right? Like y'all like to eat it, right? Like I mean, and that's and try it and sample it and not just eat it, but dig deep into what the cook is trying to accomplish with their cook. And that's your goal, right? Like that's why you do it. But I think it's a lot. I think these are the kind of conversations. Yeah, Eric.
But what Adam was asking the question about, barbecue, as you know, Brian, is a copycat sport. And so when they find out that somebody else is out there doing it, you would be surprised on how many boxes look very similar that's coming into us. And it's probably because they've taken somebody else's class and this is the way that they lay their box out. And so it's really hard. If you were to even try to think that you knew whose box that something was, you're probably going to get fooled.
Well, there you go.
I think it's interesting in how people think that they can find them all out and everybody knows what's going on. I think that's a harder.
Yep.
It's harder to do than they think because they might think they know, but they don't necessarily know because everybody's trying to do the same thing. As y'all said, it's a copycat show. Copycat sport, and I think that's what makes the guys that are good is they can make it to where it's good no matter what.
They hear us say, man, we had an amazing brisket entry, and then it goes right to their head. Well, he had to have had my brisket. That had to have been my box that's out there.
Right.
Well, the thing is, if I can bring it back around, this copycat sport, so to speak, I want to know, how is it that the Brads, the Tims, the Heaths, the Toughies of the world stay on top when everybody else is copycatting them, right? That's what I want to know. And there's only one way for me to do that. So you guys, if you're listening, call me. I'll be happy to cook with you.
Yeah. And I think my take on it as cooks is it's a copycat sport. We're trying to copy recipes instead of copying tenderness and cook processes. When you have the right process down and you're cooking the food correctly, that's more important than following somebody else's recipe. And I think those guys really know how to cook the food more so than just copying a recipe. That's my take. But anyway, guys, y'all are awesome. I hope we answered a lot of questions. I hope this has been fun for y'all because Adam, this is something we look forward to having this conversation. It's a lot of fun. But y'all have been very knowledgeable, and I'm very grateful for all that y'all do. And look, I'd love to have y'all come cook or judge the Atlanta Barbecue Store Classic. It's a great time. It's a great fun event, and
I'm waiting for my invite. I did apply.
Okay, I'll talk to somebody. I don't know who I'm talking to, but I'll find out who I'm talking to. No, I'm just kidding.
Brian, I want to thank you for reaching out across the bridge. Okay, we all watch a lot of barbecue podcasts and TV and whatnot, but this is one where I think this is the only one that I've seen, certainly been a part of, where cooks and judges are actually online having a conversation that's open to the public. So I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate the effort that you're putting out there to build the barbecue brand.
And once again, if you haven't watched this show last time, Brian has his show for judges. So if you're a judge, Brian, go ahead and plug that away.
Oh, for mine? Absolutely. Yes, if you are a judge. So make sure that you read the bull sheets on the 1st of January. There's an ad that we have for just CBJs. It's a Zoom call the 3rd Wednesday of the month, and we interview folks that have a unique perspective in the world of barbecue so that we, judges that are listening to the interview and chats, can become better judges. We get educated and we learn more. A lot of the conversation is like this conversation we had tonight, but the idea is to say, okay, let me understand why Brian and Adam and Eric got involved in the world of barbecue. What was your impetus, and what have you learned along the way? And also, we learned the impact that you have on the world of barbecue. We've interviewed people who are co-packers, cooks, CEOs, business persons, this year, we're celebrating women. I think it's okay for me to mention publicly that this year we've interviewed Brooke Lewis from the Shed. We've interviewed Bernetta McKendra, who's the granddaughter of Henry Perry, who created the Kansas City style, or marketed it anyway. We had last week, we had, pardon me, Sonny Moody. Next month we have Leanne Whippen. After that, we're going to have Megan Day. So last year we had Amy Mills, and we also had Meathead. So we're getting really, really A-list people to join us. And we started off just with a bunch of judges sitting down and talking only about barbecue. It's the only subject we're allowed to have on the conversation. Okay. But we've grown so I'm asking you as judges, read the bullshit. There's an ad that talks about this. There's an email on there, and reach out to us. We've been having the ad for the last year. So if you can go hit the bullshit for any issue you want for the last year, reach out to us. Okay. We would love to have you. We want to be able to talk with judges across the country. So thank you for that vine, Brian.
Thank you. Adam,
You two guys are CBJs, so you could be getting on the call.
That's right.
At 10 o'clock Eastern time.
Whoa.
Thank
One
you for
more
that,
item, Adam.
I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it. I'll make one of these. I'm gonna send it up. Set it up.
We try, keyword try, to keep it to an hour. Okay.
I hear you.
All
Me
right.
too. Me too.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
So let me plug the KCBS World Invitational.
Plug
If
it.
anybody out there has not signed up, cook teams, obviously time is running out. We need you to sign up. It's going to be an amazing contest. It's at a good location. Put on a good show that's up there. There's a lot of money that's involved. So you got Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's Memorial Day weekend. Judges, we've got a slew of judges out there, J-Cup, Master Certified judges. So cook teams, don't wait. We need you. Sign up. Sign up, everybody. Jason Cole, that was my question I was going to ask. I love it. Great. You did beat me to it. Bill's he's said we can all come cook with him anytime. I love it. Or judges, maybe just the three of y'all.
Thank you, Jason.
Too funny. Guys, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are the best. Hopefully we can do this again soon sometime.
Thanks for having us.
This is a great show.
Appreciate it.
Y'all are awesome.
Guys. Good talking with you. Adam, take care of yourself, Brian. Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all have a great night.
Bye
Have
now,
a good
guys.
one,
Good
everybody.
night.
We will see you next Monday on Chewin the BBQ Fat. Have a good one.